You guys, today's video is all about the new MacBook. Good day, you beautiful people. Welcome to LAZADA's Tech, where we do tech in your life in style. I've had the new 14-inch MacBook Pro for a few days now, and here are my thoughts coming from a MacBook Pro user. What's new, what's back, how powerful are these MacBook Pros, and how does battery compare? We'll talk about it in that video, but first of all, let's go through the unboxing experience. We have Apple branding on the sides. I got the base version 16 gig unified memory, 512 SSD, and this is the 14-inch MacBook Pro because I can't do the 16-inch, it's just too big for me. Okay, are we ready? Wow, I am actually so excited. Oof. That has a good weight on it. Okay, let's see what else is in the box first. We have paperwork. Ooh, that's a really cool Apple sticker. We have, and I'm excited about this, MagSafe power cord. And if you've been a MacBook user, you'd know how big a deal this is because I can't tell you how many times I've just frayed and completely ruined my MacBook charger. I can't tell you how many times friends have done the same. One too many times there's been an SOS of someone needing a random MacBook charger because they broke theirs. So yeah, I'm happy about this. And finally, we have... I only have the 67 watt power adapter because opting for the 96 watt would have taken so much longer to ship out. Right, time for the actual laptop. As early as now, I can tell you that this does feel heavier and thicker than my M1 MacBook Pro. Ooh, okay, that looks good. You do have these rubber feet at the bottom, and these edges do feel different from previous MacBook Pros. On the right side, we have an HDMI port, USB-C, SD card reader. I am so happy. On the other side, you have two USB-C ports, you have an audio jack, and the MagSafe charging port. I'm so happy. I'm gonna go throw away all my dongles. Let's power it up and set it up. Obvious things about this new laptop. Like I said, it's heavier than my 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 or the 13-inch Intel-powered MacBook Pro. I also feel like those previous laptop designs were going towards more sleeker form factors, while obviously this MacBook Pro is a little chunkier. It's very reminiscent of the old school aluminum MacBook Pro, and I know because I was editing on the 2009 MacBook Pro up until like 2017, 2018, up until Joshua convinced me to upgrade. At 14 inches, this new MacBook Pro is bigger than the older MacBooks, but even if there's a size difference, it still feels very familiar to the 13-inch experience and overall use and carrying. I can also still fit it in a lot of my MacBook 13-inch accessory sleeves and bags. Though of course, this would really depend on your specific bag or sleeve. Now speaking of carrying this thing around, I'll have you know that I carried this throughout a trans-Pacific flight with 2 stopovers, and man, I survived without dongles. That SD card slot is back, and I am thrilled, specifically being a creator who used to rely on that feature. We also get MagSafe charging back, which is something a lot of people are happy about, but personally I'm not as excited about this as I was with the SD card reader return. To be completely honest, I was okay with USB-C charging. Specifically, I was happy about being able to leave my house without needing to worry that I didn't have a specific MacBook charger with me every single time. But we get the best of both worlds now with MagSafe charging and being able to charge via those USB-C ports, of which we have like 3 of now. And well, you don't also need to plug in with this MacBook a lot because of battery performance, but we'll get to that later. Aside from the MagSafe, you get an audio jack and, for those who use external monitors, an HDMI port. The screen on this thing just looks so good, but then we have the polarizing notch. Which sure, just like saying it just sounds so absurd. There's a notch on your laptop. That just sounds so ridiculous. But even with that notch, this laptop is still giving. More screen, I mean. Side by side with a 13-inch MacBook, you see the difference. And so yes, technically it doesn't really take away from the screen because it is adding more space, but I recognize that this can be distracting, and as some people have pointed out, stuff that goes under that notch does disappear. Though the thing is, with most of the apps I ever use, nothing really goes up that area save for the menu bar, even when these are on full screen. Now this notch also houses an improved webcam, which is good because this is the era of Zoom calls and meetings, and you are watching video samples shot by the webcam right now. Though I would have loved center stage on this camera or even face unlock. We also now mourn the death of the touch bar, which was a cool concept, but personally I was never really able to fully integrate it into my everyday workflow. Save for the touch bar pet that was so cute, but not very useful. The keyboard feels very similar to previous Macs, though it does feel a little springier and it now has an all black back. I personally like the aluminum back look though. Now, one thing that I really like about these new MacBooks is that even if you're going for the smaller 14-inch MacBook like me, you can fully spec it up like you would the 16-inch. The only main difference would be the screen size and the battery life. And as someone who likes smaller gadgets because I am smaller and it's just easier for me and everyday carrying and wielding, I love that you get the choice to max it out. I mean, literally, you can opt for the M1 Max on this 14-inch body. Now, I didn't do that, but again, it's good that I can. And besides, you can be tiny like me and need an all-powerful laptop for your workflow. And like I said, I did opt for the 14-inch base version, and this was because I felt like this laptop was enough for my editing needs. Just like how I was editing on my 2019 Intel Core i5 MacBook Pro with 16 gig, and I was thinking that that was enough for me despite the not so good battery life, and how I upgraded to the MacBook Pro M1 base version and thought that was all I needed. Now, speaking of that base M1 that I used before this laptop, that thing blew my mind in terms of battery performance. And considering that I had the base model, I was editing 4K video on that thing. The only big issue that popped up with that old MacBook was that I'd usually need more storage space, and sometimes I would see the laptop stutter when I have like a bajillion apps and programs open when I multitask like I tend to do. But still, it was pretty impressive for what it was doing and for the price. And honestly, like I said earlier, it was enough for my personal needs. Now this new 14-inch MacBook though, in the last 4 days, this thing has adequately met my needs. I've edited like 2 4K videos on this easy. Performance has been smooth and it's left unbothered by my multitasking and many open tabs in Windows. Battery has also been doing well, lasting me a whole day's worth of use. On days I'm not editing heavily like today, it's lasted me more than a day. In terms of charging, with a 67-watt brick, it lasts me an hour and a half and a little over that. So it's only been a few days, but I've been pretty happy with my new 14-inch MacBook Pro. Sure, it's a little weightier, but I mean that literally and figuratively. I think that these new M1s, the M1 Pro, and the M1 Mac allow us to see this new direction Apple is taking their MacBook Pros a little clearer. And for the first time in a while, the word Pro in the MacBook lineup has a little more weight. That's it for today's video, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the new 14-inch MacBook Pro in the comment section down below. If you want to see how I use my tech on a daily basis, find me online. That's LAZADA_ on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Until next time.